we've had economic problems in the U.S. or in North America every 4 to 8 years since the beginning of the republic. So to say that we're going to have a problem is not unusual. It would be bizarre if we didn't have a problem again.
I remember 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when you first started promoting Bitcoin, you said it was going to become this really dominant cryptocurrency.
Crypto technology is a store of value and safe haven during an era we live in now of banking scandals and banking crises. I think the next major bank to collapse, you'll see Bitcoin trade above 1,000 again and stay above 1,000, and I think it can trade a lot higher from there.
Today is September 1st, 2017. Welcome to Talking ICO. A little background on this station. I am Sean Dixon. My partner is Frank Williams. Frank, are you live and direct?
Oh, I'm here. I'm ready to rumble.
Excellent. We've got to give a little background on ourselves before we get into the ICOs, but I will say this first about the ICOs. This station is going to be the gap between that serious jargon that you don't understand and your understanding. We're going to make it simple and easy for you, but we have to manage our expectations up front. We are not super tech savvy, although Frank is an electrical engineer. We are sort of new to the ICOs. We are not new to the cryptocurrency market, but yet we're still not professionals there. So that's going to be the gist of this station. We're going to just bridge that gap, make sure you understand what you're doing before you make these investments. A little history on ourselves. Again, I am Sean Dixon, and I guess my 60-second commercial would be that I made a constitutional decision at 16 I had a choice to make to either get my new fancy car and drive to my parents' house or catch the bus to my house that I own. And I made a constitutional decision that I was just going to do the right thing. So I decided to catch the bus to my house. I bought my first house in my first semester of college, and I haven't stopped since. I believe that if anything needed to be financed, I needed to buy a house that could actually pay for that financing, debt service on the house and debt service on the asset. And I thought that was brilliant at that young age, but that was my philosophy, and that's what got me where I am. And along the way, I started a real estate company and a mortgage company. And I say along the way for a reason. That's a technical term in the entrepreneurial sphere. You want to meet those people along the way, on your journey, not at the club, not at the golf course. Well, the golf course, I retract that statement, but you know what I'm saying? You want to meet them on your journey, on that road to your journey, which is where I met Frank. And Frank and I clicked immediately, both into real estate. We understood that 70% of the nation's wealth is in real estate. It still is, no matter how many of these awesome new ecosystems and industries that pop up around us. But again, I bought those properties, started those two companies. I've always been in the helping business. Again, I met Frank there, and we had a bunch of ventures. I'll let him get into that in his introduction. But a talk radio show, a couple of different organizations to help reach people and defeat or defend them against that great learning curve in real estate and how to buy property with no money down and actually leave the table with closing. Leave the closing with actual money. And if that sounds foreign to you, trust me, when we get into these cryptocurrencies, you're going to think we're just as crazy, but that's where the mistake is in your pathology and your thoughts of how crazy the next guy is. But guess what? It could happen. So we're going to do that. Frank, give the people a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, I'm excited to start this new venture. I go by Frank Williams. I graduated with a degree in electrical engineering with a minor in physics. Went on to work for Ericsson Telecommunications. I worked for the Department of Defense Basic Strategic Defense Command. I've done a whole lot, but just to wrap my story up into a bundle, I became aware of the real harsh realities of the world while working for Ericsson Telecommunications when there was a layoff where I had to literally sit there at my desk and wait for the phone to ring. If you guys can imagine for a moment sitting in a room full of people at cubicles and waiting for the telephones to ring. In a room full of 20 people, every time the phone rings, you think it's your phone. It was torture. I survived that layoff and decided from that point on that although I had an engineering degree, which was very profitable, I needed to be an entrepreneur as well. Went on to get involved in real estate, and then Sean and I went on to create our first talk show, which was Rich Fit USA Radio, which was a smash hit. We interviewed people from all over the world. We interviewed Eric Thomas, the greatest motivational speaker in the world right now, before anybody knew about him. Tom and Julie Ziegler, Zig Ziglar's kids, Robert Greene, who wrote the 48 Laws of Power. And so when the ICO market kicked in and we became aware of it, the conversation was, listen, we don't know a whole bunch about this. We know a little bit about cryptocurrencies, but at the end of the day, you learn and you pick up things along the way. So we decided we're going to start our talk show. And just as we've done in the past, you learn and meet people on your journey. I promise you that you will witness us meet and learn along the way. And you, as a member of the audience, will be able to help us grow, because there are going to be things that we don't know. But there are things that we're very, very solid on, and we have a strong education on those things. And we're going to focus on our strong points. And then those weak points will grow by your encouragement and sharing knowledge with you. So I'm happy to get started. I'm excited about it. And I think that we're going to shake up the world again. Like we did the first time we went into broadcasting.
I agree. And that business model, or that show model, has served us very well. As you said, Robert Greene, Zig Ziglar, and a bunch of those other people that we were able to get in our network, and the Napoleon Hill organization. And you hit it on the nail on the head by saying we learn along the way, because instead of us researching for months and months and months, we bring the horse on the show and you hear straight from the horse's mouth. And that is exactly how we got introduced to the cryptocurrency. We were talking about, on our financial literacy show, we were talking about alternative currencies. They had a guy, I think he was up north to the right, somewhere around New York, up there. And he had his own little, 50 square miles of territory there. And he had his own currency, and the feds came in and tried to shut him down. That was so long ago, I forget if they were successful or not. But we had a female caller from California, Frank, that brought up, she was excited about alternate currencies and asked if we had heard about Bitcoins, and we said no. And you remember that?
I remember that. And had we moved on that then, oh my God. Oh my God.
God bless America. You are so right. But that's what this show is going to be about. We're going to make sure that you don't miss, because you are still in that aha moment and able to profit from it. So she brought up Bitcoins, and we didn't sleep on it too long, right? We entertained getting a mining machine. We had figured out that you had to mine it. We had actually been successful enough to get a few coins. I think we spent it way too early. Looking at that, it went above 5,000 today. What do you think? Did we spend it too early or not?
Way too early. Way too early, man. I wish I could get in the time machine and go back and slap myself.
Well, and we weren't that crazy, because this was early on. We had a financial literacy talk show, so this was one of the early adopters. And the thing is that we, just like many of those, we wanted to see if it was real. Yeah, we had this new currency, but you couldn't buy anything. We didn't do drugs. We weren't interested in drugs. And I remember the one guy opened up a online store selling llamas, and he took Bitcoins. But we didn't need no damn llamas. So we sitting on the coins. And the first opportunity we got to spend them, we just wanted to see if it was real, like many of them. Again, this show is going to stop you from making those stupid mistakes. Because back then, Bitcoin didn't even reach 10 cents, I believe. And if you would have just threw $100 at it back then, multiply that by 5,000, Frank, and you got a hell of a year, don't you?
Oh yeah, you got a hell of a year, and a whole bunch of other things to go along with it. I mean, a number of things to go along with it. And today we're going to go ahead and take a look at our first ICO, or I guess you would say private token sale, which is going to be Asset Coin. Right. I'm going to let Sean start off with how we came across looking at Asset Coin. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at it from a white sheet perspective, and look at the white sheet, look at the teams, look at who's involved, and see what we see within there. Now, from the technical standpoint, blockchain technology, some of those things we're going to be weak on at this moment in time. I say give us about 30 days. We won't be weak on it at all. But at this moment in time, we'll be weak on a few of those things. But when it comes to looking at the team, looking at the product, looking at the concept behind it, I don't think you're going to find anybody better. I really don't think so. Maybe Cliff High, because he has the Webbot Report, one of those guys. Maybe Jay Snip 4, who's been doing this for over a year, who's made the network and made the connections. But I can confidently say, moving forward, looking at it from a realistic business standpoint, and does this business model make sense? You're not going to find people going to dissect it like we are. So Sean, go ahead and let's get this ball rolling.
Excellent. One of the I don't know, the pathologies that went into picking asset token is that we were looking for coins and ICOs in particular that made sense, because we're trying to think like you would, a person, an investor, I should say, because we're heavy into the currency market and even the Poloniex trading currencies, trading the cryptocurrencies, but we didn't know anything about the actual currency. So as Frank said, the blockchain and all that stuff, you can Google that. We will get someone on who will explain that. So we were looking at the applicability, I should say, of the coin. Somewhere in real estate, somewhere in this, somewhere in that, somewhere in what is it, marijuana. And we found these guys. Asset token made us pause a little bit because it was attached to your credit card reward points. And we thought that for a second, and we said, okay, I want to get into this cryptocurrency market, but I have no idea where to start, no idea what to do. That is like name recognition. That's like a brand name when you say credit card reward points. Everybody has a credit card. Everybody has reward points, right? And although we know they're not fake money, you can't put it in your pocket. You can't, it's just not cash still, which is also the leap of faith that you have to take with this cryptocurrency. It's not cash yet, but you have that reward points, and I think you'll freely invest those. And listen to that word, Frank, invest. This coin will allow you to basically invest your reward points into asset tokens. And those tokens can be exchanged for Ethereum, Bitcoins, and any other coins that are out there as far as I can see. And it's, again, most of these coins are algorithms and blockchain technology that protects, I don't know, the cipher code, and they have a key that they cold storage and hide here and there. All these things, we will have people on that can help us explain that to you a lot better. But again, asset token was something that was easy to understand, and you don't have to put your hard-earned money up, although your reward points you do have to spend to get those, but they come with that spending. So we thought that this one would make a lot of sense to people, plus the idea is sound. The asset tokens are transferable between reward programs, participating merchants and banks. I mean, it's ERC-20 certified. So this one, if you do the research on any of these things, you'll find a lot of information on it, very easy to understand and very easy to apply here. And it's, I don't want to say it's a popularity contest. Frank, what would you think would be the biggest factor for a guy who's a little bit less than in our shoes and doesn't know, what would be his thought process to pick the coin like asset coin?
Well, I can tell you what my thought process is behind it. So it's all about usability and how it's applicable to everyday life. So in this case, I'm a father of 2 kids. I have a whole bunch of friends of mine who are out there. They're traveling, taking vacations, they're going to Disney World, they're going here, they're going there. A lot of people that are middle class and above, and even some people who have access to credit, those people, they actually go out and buy things in order to get the rewards points. So there are people who go and they will, instead of paying cash for a Disney World vacation trip and putting it on a debit card and drafting that money out of their bank account, they say, well, if I spend this $5,000, I'll get 2,000 reward points, and maybe I can use those reward points in exchange for a free flight or a dinner or something like that. So what we're talking about is an existing value. So there's value in these reward points with these credit card companies already. And now what you're doing is you're transferring that value into a manner in which it can become cash. You can't beat that. If the organization is able to achieve this, you can't beat it, because it's something that people are already doing. And it's something that people have their minds made up. They're comfortable with it. They have a great understanding. Now, where I see the problem could come in at be when it comes to the education of this particular token. And that if I was talking to one of the developers, if I was talking to one of the gentlemen like Andrew Stanford or maybe Todd Nichols, which hopefully we'll be able to get them on, if I was talking to them, I would say, what's your plan to bridge that gap? You know, to bridge the gap between the person actually, because they understand reward points and how to use them. Now, how do you get that person who understands reward points? How do you get that soccer mom who understands reward points, who's going to walk into the bedroom with a husband and say, honey, you know, we got all these reward points, and I think we should transfer those to asset tokens. She's going to be like, what the hell is an asset token, right? So to me, that's where that's going to be a sticking point for them. And I don't know how they're going to handle it from an educational standpoint, because it's going to have to be this is one of the things that's going to hit the masses quickly. So, you know, Bitcoin now has gotten mad popularity to the point to where people are taking second mortgages to buy Bitcoin because people know about it. But so Bitcoin hit the market and it's branded, right? Now you have this other token that comes along and you can transfer your reward points to it. Now, if it was Bitcoin, people are like, ooh, I can get Bitcoin with my reward points. They know enough about it. That's one of the only kind of thing that I see about it that will make it a little bit more difficult. But at the same time, if they're able to bridge that gap and move people along that bell curve from an educational standpoint, then you can't beat it. I mean, it's a surefire hit. It's a surefire hit. Now, I would like to know what their plan is for that, Sean. That's what I would like to know.
Well, I think you explained it, and I agree, but I differ with you on that one. You think that's a challenge. I think that's an asset, because you get the soccer mom, and she goes in and she's talking about, hey, honey, have you heard of cryptocurrency? She said, I know you've heard of Bitcoin, but guess what? We get an opportunity to invest now. Well, we don't have money for that because Johnny's got to get his football uniform and Susie's got to get her cheerleading outfit. Guess what? We can use those reward points. One of my agents was in my office yesterday, and these guys are developers and architects. These guys are excellent. So they're high income guys. But he's got 100-some thousand points on one of his cars. Here's American Express. He's got 400,000 points. And like I said, it's almost, it's money, but it's a consumable item. If you're an investor and if you're out there developing things, if you're bored about your kids and your father's at home, he's out there working, worrying about the family, you're not really trying to, use those things. You might visit him at Christmas, but now when he says, what is that and why are we doing it? She says, guess what? We don't have to use real money. We can use the cryptocurrency that already exists. What are you talking about? Our reward points. So she can bridge those gaps. And that's why I chose this one. And we're going to get to the team in a second. But that was the thought process that Frank and I had. It was the usability as he put. It was the applicability as I put it in, and the ease of use, in my opinion. And Frank is right. We do need to get these guys on to get their take on it. But it brings up the conversation, and it's something that both parties, the informed, the uninformed in the house, can easily talk about because they understand reward points. They may not understand Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, but they can say this one is compatible with Bitcoin, so you can convert it in the Ethereum network and whatnot. It can go together, so you can talk that out, and that's what the show is about: getting that conversation started. But then we moved in. We said, okay, this token, this coin, has a lot of potential in our minds. Let's see who's behind it. As we kind of employ the Warren Buffett approach, we see if the team is good enough, and that's everybody's approach who's investing in any kind of stock or any kind of investment. You want to see if these guys have the gas to get the car moving, and I think these guys do. To be honest with you, first on the list I got is Dennis Lyon. Second on the list is Todd Nichols, and then we have Andrew Stanford. You familiar with any of these guys?
Yeah, I had an opportunity to look them up on LinkedIn. Two things. I had an opportunity to look them up on LinkedIn. It's a 3-member team. One of the things that makes me a little apprehensive is when I've looked at a lot of other white sheets, we're talking about there was legal counsel on these teams. There's a whole bunch. There's people from the industry that are sitting on their board, and it may be premature because they may be getting ready to put together a board of directors and a whole bunch of other different people to help them. So this comment may be premature. Again, that's another question I would have for them. But if we started with Andrew, I had a chance to go look at his LinkedIn profile. And when I looked at Andrew's LinkedIn profile, one of the things that stood out to me, well, there were several organizations that he was already a partner in, and meaning that he had some kind of ownership status in those organizations. And then you saw where he went into this asset token venture. I always like to see that a person has some kind of past business experience as opposed to they just got up off the sofa and said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and start a token today, because I don't want to give my money to somebody who just finished eating strawberries and cheese on a sofa and decided that they were going to take a shot at starting a business. They need to have some kind of business experience. So he definitely has the entrepreneurial background based on what I saw. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't name the actual organizations, but it was at least 2 or 3 partnerships that he was involved in. And I thought that was an important thing. You always want to find people like that. Now, again, I don't see any legal counsel here listed on their team, and that doesn't mean that they don't have legal counsel, but it's not listed as their team.
Sure. Sure.
And to me, the larger the team doesn't necessarily mean that the project's going to be better, but it also means that you have all the pieces to the puzzle. Because when you're starting a venture, for example, the venture that I started with, the athletic apparel, my team is extensive. I mean, it's NFL players, it's this person, it's that person, but it's a huge team of people that come together to make that venture work. And you want to see that reflected. Now, experience-wise, this guy looks like he has the experience, and he can possibly do something. But team, if I had to give him a grade on a team, and it could be that, again, I haven't spoken to anyone, and I haven't even bought an asset token yet. I do plan on doing it in full disclosure, but it could be that that information is just not there. So as we dig a little bit deeper, we'll find out more about it.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. They need to have an entrepreneurial background. And Stanford does have some blockchain technology background. He's got a background in finance, and he's also, in his own words, I think, a creator of the future. So, he fits the bill enough right now. Remember, this is a new industry, so everybody's going to be new. So you're going to have to just look at the nuts and bolts and see if they can put the engine together. But the digital strategist, who is Todd Nichols, I think he's qualified as well. He's an accountant. All these guys are CEOs of several of these types of deals, all startups, which, the startup community, the startup mindset is a great one. And these guys know how to get things started. And they know how to raise money. That's a huge part of it. So, and here they are doing the exact same thing. Why not start raising money for money? But the digital strategist, again, he's Todd Nichols, and he's an account executive at CB Sciences, where they deal with hemp plants and cutting edge stuff, pharmaceutical industry and therapeutic purposes, that type of stuff. He was also an account executive at Reliant Services. He's got a good background. He fits. I was most impressed, though, with Dennis Lyon. This guy, he says, and again, guys, we were not that deep into it. So if I say something wrong, especially on Dennis, hey, man, give me a call and correct me. I have no problem with that. But I was looking at his background, and it appears that he thinks he invented the iPhone. Big accomplishment.
Wait, pause. He did what?
He said he invented, his exact words, or the publication says iPhone. The invention I created. I is pretty personal, right?
You don't get any more personal than I.
Right.
You don't get any more personal than the word I.
So he has this brilliant sketch of a plan of a phone, and it's got some technical jargon on there. So he has that background. Plus, he has a patent out, a user authentication and secure transaction system that he has a patent on. So, and that's a lengthy process in itself and quite expensive. If he got I'm not sure with this technology, do you get a there's a more expensive one, I forget it that quick, a utility patent, or does he have a design patent? But both of them, if you're going to get all inclusive and make sure you're completely covered, it's going to be some serious coin. Not to be confused with asset coin, but just it's going to be some serious money to get that done. So he got that done. So he knows how to finish. I don't know. We haven't heard of him before this as far as the iPhone. So we know he wasn't successful in convincing the world that he invented the iPhone, although he does have an attorney on it, it looks like. So I'm not sure if it's good to invest in a company that somebody's in litigation right now or not. We'd love to get him on and see, because he had his attorney at law, I'll leave his name out, December 14, 2004. It was his plan was received. And I mean, if you look at his plan, it's a damn iPhone, Frank. It's So,
So it's the real damn iPhone.
But
I would love to have him on just to talk to him about that crap. They're like, yo, bro, did somebody really steal your design for the iPhone? Like, for real, don't play with me. Did they really, and, you know, I would love to have him on for that. You know, to circle back to
it's a damn iPhone.
to Todd Nichols, another thing that I thought was interesting when I looked at his background, I've always found that entrepreneurs start with the basic. They always start with the basics. Typically, some of the most successful entrepreneurs I've ever seen have started off with financial planning backgrounds. And that was one of the things that I thought was, that I saw about Todd Nichols' background that I thought was interesting. Now, of course, again, I still taking a strong stand on, I would like to see more members on this team, or I would like to talk to the team members to get more extensive understanding of their backgrounds, and how the pieces to the puzzle fit together. But, you know, team-wise, I would give them like a B grade, you know, or, you know, a high C, low B, because I just would like to see more. And somebody would say, well, who the hell are you to like to see more? I'm the person that's about to put his money into it. So, of course, I like to see more, you know. Absolutely. And I don't say that in any kind of negative way. I just want to know more. I do love the concept and love the idea, but I do want to see more. Mm-hmm. Now, the next thing, Sean, that I thought was interesting is, and I think this is the most significant portion. When you look at the number of coins they're going to institute, it's like 1 billion coins.
Sure. Right.
And it was like 10% that was staying with the team. Then it was another 10% in pre-sale 1, 10% in sale 2, 10% in sale 3. And then I think it was another 60% that was supposed to be sold to institutional markets. I like the fact that the product is going to, the lion's share of the product is going to be sold to institutions. I really do. To the listening audience, I would love some feedback in the comment section about the variance in the actual numbers of tokens that are created. That's where my limit of knowledge comes in. But to me, 1 billion tokens is a lot of tokens. And I'm going to go back and do some research. Maybe when we do part 2 of this video, I can go back and do a little bit more research and take a look at some of the other successful tokens like OMG and some of the more recent successful ones to see actually how many tokens or how many coins were actually, you know, created at the very onset of that venture, and see if that number is on the high side or if it's in the middle, or if it's on the low side. But 1 billion sounds like a lot to me, you know. But again, 60% of that, which is 600 million, they're trying to sell to financial institutions. Again, financial institutions which actually have the wherewithal to buy these tokens. So to me, what it means is, if these gentlemen actually have one financial institution on board. Pause. Let me go back and circle back to another point. One of the things I didn't see on here, and when I was talking about team, and I think it's one of the most significant things, is, Sean, if you and I have 600 million tokens we need to sell, we need a robust sales team, right? Because Absolutely. We need a team of people that actually are going to get in front of these institutions. I don't see the robust sales team as of now. Does that mean they don't have it? Does that mean they're not working on it? Absolutely doesn't mean that. But I feel like you need a robust sales team if you plan to accomplish this goal, because, you know, there are a number of financial institutions out there. You got to get in front of them. And that could be a part of their plan moving forward. We're only going on this white sheet that they have, and it's only a 4-page white sheet. It's not a 5-page white sheet. Let's give them 5 pages just to be safe. But there's not a full-fledged all-out plan on there. I think they would do themselves a favor if they laid out, hey, here's our sales team, and here's who we're targeting to actually purchase these tokens. But I do like the fact that the institutions are going to be the primary focus of the sale of these tokens, which tells me that if one financial institution picks it up, Citibank or freaking Chase Bank or any one of those, you don't need to hit a home run and get 5 or 6. You really need to pick up one. You really need to pick up one.
Absolutely. Todd Nichols, Frank, I think is their sales force. I think account executive is code word for salesperson now, you know. And I agree with you about the institutional purchase part. And they're for the listeners, if we didn't cover that at first, the institutional purchase would be, instead of giving you reward points, we'd be giving you asset tokens, and those asset tokens can be used elsewhere and traded for Ethereum and Bitcoin and anything else. But the asset token, the company itself, that's their ambition. They hope that the credit card rewards programs actually adopts this technology and abandons their other or current technology, and they use this as their only reward points token because it never expires. Do reward points now currently or typically expire, Frank? Do you know that?
Absolutely, they absolutely expire. And you know, the beauty of this is, and this is why I really like this venture, because they don't have to actually replace their rewards program with asset token. They just have to implement it as a part of their rewards program or an exchangeable portion of their rewards program. So there's so many ways for these guys to win. If I'm in their shoes and I go to Citibank, I'm trying to cut a deal with Citibank where, hey man, I don't need you to buy all my tokens. Would I love you to buy them? Absolutely. Buy every last one of them. But give us a shot. You know, give us a shot at, you know, you guys you're giving out a total of, you know, 700 million reward points a year. You know, let us work with 200 million of those points and make it to where it's transferable to what 200 million of those reward points can transfer into this token, and let us show you the value that it can bring to your customers. And it doesn't hurt the financial institution whatsoever. It doesn't hurt them to allow that person to transfer it into this cryptocurrency and then transfer it into cash. In all actuality, the first company to adopt this is actually going to be the first to the market with it, and they're going to have people leaving other credit card companies to come over to them because of this program. So, I mean, it's a home run if they can just get it done. I mean, it's a home run.
Marketing is going to be a big factor there because I agree. However, part of the credit card rewards program, in my opinion, some of them, especially the ones that have an expiration date, part of that, it's like what are the cards that you bring around to Barnes and Nobles and Starbucks. Everybody got a credit card or a little points card where you go and you give them away for Christmas and birthdays, a little credit card type logo credit card that you go and buy stuff with. Part of that whole deal is that you don't go buy it, so the money gets recycled. So if the credit card companies have that installment in their business model that, you know, hey, we may give away 700 million reward points every year, but only 100 million get used, then I believe what you're saying is going to really be impactful, because the first company that adopts this, that says, hey, we really are on your side, these really are reward points. Yeah, we want you to spend it, but we want you to be smart about it so they don't expire. Bam, everybody jumps on board. And I mean, there's a credit card company. They got more, I'm sure they got more credit card types and comes in than they have retail stores by now. So it's going to be important for them to direct transparency and truth and honesty to the customer and saying, hey, we want you to win. We're going to go ahead and jump into asset token and give you those as our rewards points program incentive. And I think it would do them well. But marketing is going to be the key.
Yeah, and you got to think about it. It's so many opportunities, and this is why I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna go ahead and get involved. I'm not telling you to get involved. I'm not giving you the financial advice. And in fact, we didn't do a disclaimer, so let me do it now. This is not an investment program. Before you invest, you personally need to do your own research. Don't go based off anything I tell you, because I am not a licensed financial advisor. Bada bing, bada boom, the whole nine. Consider yourself disclaimed. But what I will say to you is this.
And Jay and Frank, you got to speak for both of us on that one. So,
well, we both say consider yourself to have been just disclaimed.
Absolutely, you are disclaimed.
What I'll say is this: when you think about the rewards programs across the board, it doesn't have to be a rewards program just for your credit card that's associated with your bank account. It could be a gas card rewards program. They have so many unique markets that they can work their way into, that if the team is right, I mean, it doesn't have to be American Express, is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? It could be Shell, it could be Exxon, it could be so many different organizations that they can do business with. I mean, damn it, it could be Sears. And Sears is almost going out of business, right? It could be Best Buy. You see what I'm saying? So the opportunity is everywhere.
I hope it gets down to the coffee shops, because this really could take off, because the consumer could see this as the more I spend, the more I can really invest now, because everybody's thinking about Bitcoin. You know, it came out less than a penny. Now it's at over $5 grand. So that's going to always be the benchmark. point of contact, the first thing you think about when you hear about this. Now, I don't know about this one, but I know about Bitcoin. Oh, I don't, and I don't know. So when they hear that you can convert this to Ethereum, which is the next in line, number 2 coin, and what is Ethereum? I think 567 is, Frank. Last time we checked, or was it 367?
368 or 369 was the value of it the last time I checked.
Excellent. So, these things have real value. Can asset token be converted into Bitcoin? I don't think I saw that, because I think if you're on the Ethereum now, go ahead.
It can be converted to it's supposed to be able to be converted to Ethereum, and Ethereum can always be converted to Bitcoin. So, more importantly, Ethereum can be converted to cash.
There you go.
Ethereum itself can be converted to cash. So the opportunities are endless, is what I'll say. The opportunities are endless.
Which with reception should be endless, because this is the one that says, I get it. It's not, I don't have to take $1 out of my purse. I can take $1 out of what I gave the grocery store, because they gave that back to me in the reward point program. So it makes sense. The ease of use, the usability seems to be a 10. 0 to 10, 10 being the best. I think the usability factor is a 10 on the asset token. I think it will do well. It's going, if I'm looking at this correctly, Frank, it says that the asset token exchange listing. Now, if I'm looking at that, means it's going to go on the exchange with the Bitcoin versus the USD, Ethereum against the Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, that means it's going to have to go. It's going to go onto one of the exchange markets.
One of them to be traded, right?
To be traded, and not
absolutely.
Here's the beauty of it, and I don't. Again, this is why I would love to talk to them, and I know some of the stuff they would never disclose. And for the record, we've already reached out to Andrew via LinkedIn. But here's the beauty of it. Hypothetically, I think it's like 22 or 23 days before their private sale ends right now, right?
20 days, 7 hours, 42
days.
minutes.
If behind the scenes, they've actually already hammered out a deal with one organization, bro. It doesn't have to be American Express. It doesn't. Right. I mean, if they've hammered out a deal with if they hammered out a deal with Whole Foods or a smaller grocery chain like Tom Thumb or anything,
right?
If they've hammered out, because all those different organizations have cards and reward cards. I don't care if they hammered out something with one of the check cashing companies like Western Union, because they even have cards. If they've hammered out 1 or 2 deals, the value is a huge value injection into the value of this coin, from 50 cents to probably $8, $9. If they land a big fish, like Citibank or Chase or any of those other ones, my mind is drawing a blank on all the banks, but any one of those, I mean, you're talking about a very significant value. So I personally want to get these guys on for a chat and a talk to see. We got 20 days to do it, but I think this is going to be a great one if all the pieces to the puzzle are there. And unfortunately, right now, we don't have all the information to know if all the pieces of the puzzle are there.
Absolutely. I have to disclose, too, I keep forgetting every time I get on, that I do own asset tokens currently right now. So there it is.
You bought some already?
Yes, I purchased some asset tokens, and I'm hoping they do well on the market. That's why I did it. And I did it because the other reason I did it is because I think it would be easily received or well received by the layperson. And it's just one that they can understand in my mind. I understood it. And the only thing you and I know about any of this that we can really talk about is the actual Bitcoin and our journey with it. And it stops there. So we're new, as we disclosed earlier. So when I see it, this one just made sense to me. I called you up. I said, hey, I think this is a good one. Then it was in the pre-ICO phase. And at that point, if it's not there still. But going to the exchange, and we spent all day looking at the Bitcoin USD charts, looking at patterns, seeing where it's going tomorrow. You took a trade on the Ethereum BTC today. I hope I didn't step on the line, cross over the line by disclosing that you did trade that Ethereum BTC today. But we saw it break the trend line, and you took advantage of the opportunity because you knew you had the faith in the two coins. Am I right?
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. My sincere hope is that we'll get these guys on and we get the opportunity to speak with them and learn more about what their plans are. And just to the audience, ladies and gentlemen, we want to focus on teams to try and dissect what's going on and figure out where everything stands. Now, if it gets real technical and the technology gets a little bit more beyond us, we'll admit that, and then we'll try and find somebody who can come in and help us with that. But this is pretty much straightforward. It's, the token is compliant with the Ethereum wallet, which means it can be held in the Ethereum wallet. I don't know why I call it the Ethereum of the Ethereum wallet. And their business model is to target financial institutions in order to exchange the reward points for the asset token. I mean, it's simple. It's simple. It's a smash hit. If the team is solid and the sales force is solid and the marketing behind it is solid and they market to the right people, the decision makers in the household, which are really the soccer moms, if they market to the right people, you got a smash hit on your hands. You got a smash hit on your hands. Now, if it's an organization that's just trying to take 100 million coins and, pump and dump the coin to, $1 and sell $100 million worth of coins to the market, and then they'll make $100 million and it'll disappear. But I just don't see someone having an idea like this and not trying to follow through with it. I mean, if I would be so disappointed if someone did not really try to hit this ball out of the park. I really, really would be. It's not like it's some porno token. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would really be disappointed if nobody tried to hit this out of the park.
But back to these guys, we definitely have to get them on because, and one thing about them is that they are using their Will said is this Lion guy. He already has a patent. And as you notice that these guys have a patent pending. I was not able to locate what they were actually patenting. I'm assuming it's their technology that they're going to sell to the banks. Is that what, did you find anything on the patent pending?
No, I didn't. And also on their website, I actually found where it was a YouTube video. It was kind of blurry where it was supposed to be and where, someone was actually exchanging rewards points for asset tokens. But when you look at that YouTube video, the very start of it is blurry. And then at the end, I mean, I blew it up or tried to look at it. I really couldn't tell what the hell was going on.
If they're putting that out like
it's
that,
not necessarily good or bad. We need to talk to somebody, And I think that if there's an opportunity to talk and find out a little bit more about it, then, I think that the world would have a great appreciation for this type of opportunity if it's just a little bit more information shared about it,
I agree 100%. I do think it's a good shot, though. If we can't get them on, which I think we will, we're going to reach out to them again. And, I'm very interested. I'm interested in talking to them all to see what their thought process was and how they would explain it. What's your 30-second elevator pitch on this asset token? Mr. Dennis or Todd or Andrew, what you got? We'd love to hear from you. We're going to reach out to them, and I think that is the best thing to do. But they got 20 days left, 7 hours, 39 minutes before this thing hits the exchange. Quick prediction, opinion. What do you think it's going to do, Frank, when it hits the exchange? It's going to be long or short on it?
I think it's going to be long. A price prediction. I think it depends on what kind of information comes out. Again, it's 22 days away. If they announce anywhere in between now and those, the next 10 days, I couldn't tell you a price. I don't even want to guess the price.
Well, where is it right now? 50 cents, right?
You can get on their website right now and purchase the coin for 50 cents. Yeah.
Again,
you're going to have to use Ethereum to purchase it, but you can definitely get on and purchase it.
At your own risk. We are not telling you to buy it. Another good show would be to just start off with Ethereum, Bitcoin, maybe give them a little background on that. I'd love to get one of those industry guys to get on and do the same and give us a quick breakdown because we'd like to learn a little bit more about it as well.
No. In about 6 months, we'll have Max Kaiser on, and we'll have Max Kaiser on here. Trust me. Watch.
Trust me, I've worked with you before. We got some big with Robert Green. We both read those books.
The valuation, I don't know what kind of value we put on it. I think the actual price point of the token itself really depends on what kind of value they're giving to the market. If hypothetically, let's say they announced that Wells Fargo, Chase Bank, and American Airlines are going to be allowing people to exchange their reward points for asset tokens, then you might be talking about $100 coin. You know, if it's Lowe's and Home Depot, you may be talking about $100 coin. If it's absolutely nobody, then you may be talking about, you know, a 15-cent coin, you know.
Absolutely.
It really depends on what they're able to accomplish.
What do you think might take it down, make it a short on asset token?
If it turns out the team is a bunch of BS,
right?
You know, the guys on the squad are a bunch of BS, you know?
Yeah, if they don't get any banks on board, I mean, they've got to have, I don't know, 100-day, 100 days in office type of rule or something to where you've, you know, at a certain point, you've got to get somebody using you as a rewards program and or allowing you to convert your rewards points into asset tokens. So I think that, and that's actually going to be the benchmark as they grow. And as you said, as they get a big dog on board, a gas station or something, or what is that, like Neo Gas, you get free gas when you get those coins or something to that effect. If they get one satisfied customer, that's all we need to see. And one satisfied customer, I think the floodgates open. This coin might go to $100, like you said.
Absolutely. And then, you know, maybe some PR behind the token, because, you know, when you do a Google search, there's another token coin that comes up before them. I mean, maybe some PR work behind it. You know, I would like to see PR. I would like to see more about a sales force that can say, hey, you know, from Jump Street, you know, with the world's first transferable credit card rewards token, we have a product that nobody else has. But we also have a team that can work this product and make sure it works. So they have something unique, unlike anything anybody else has. Sure. It looks like they had them like $1 million worth of debt financing in June of 2017. I just want to see, I want to see more. And then I see here that their lead investor is Globex Capital Funding. I think we need to do a little research into Globex Capital Funding, because that team, you know, depends on if that partnership brings a lot. They may be bringing a lot to the table that they're missing, but you never know. They may even have requirements. Sure, they had to have requirements in order for them to get that $1 million worth of funding. So, still got a little bit more research to do on it, and hopefully we can, guys. I will definitely be tomorrow sending this video out to them, along with the. And hey, you know, this is where we stand. We would love to speak to one of you guys. Everybody, I guess, if we get a message that says, hell no, I don't want to talk to you. Man, we reached out to the guys that said, hell no, they ain't talking to us.
Right.
But if
we're going to keep going either way. And for our listeners, it's a little blockchain, little Bitcoin info. It's all it's anonymous, but it's totally different. But blockchain info is, you know, I think Bank of America recently filed 20 blockchain patents since 2016, actually. So, and the reason why I feel that is important information is that it's catching on. As Frank alluded to earlier, once you get the big boys or one of those juggernauts involved, then it hits the household, the everyday household, and now it's a conversation at the kitchen table, potential realization of your investment at that point. You know, so it is still on the ground floor. You're still growing. There are some very smart people out there who have been in it for a very long time. But if you actually check that BTC USD chart, this month made a big difference in the value, several $1,000 increase. And it's been the last couple of months that it's really increased. So it's still got time. Still got time. Frank?
My bad. Absolutely. There's plenty of time left.
What was you doing?
You started using that old deep ass voice. It hypnotized me, man. Absolutely, man. You still have time. And, you know, it kind of makes me think about 6 months. What was it, about a couple of years ago? Maybe it was 4 or 5 years ago. Remember, I took the idea. I think Bitcoin's at about $300 per coin at that point in time. And I took the concept and I took the idea to this guy who's a billionaire. I mean, the family owns a shipping business.
Right.
I wanted to do a mining organization here in New Orleans, and the guy laughed me out of his house. He's like, oh, my God, you know, I'd rather see you do this with the money. But back then, it was Goldman Sachs. He had a report from Goldman Sachs, and I talked to my friends at Goldman Sachs, and we looked at it, and this is not sustainable, and this is a bubble, and it's going to burst. And I was like, bro, it's not a bubble. I'm like, it's a whole nother economic system. I said, it's a whole nother economic system. It's like building a new railroad. You're going to need the rails. You're going to need the sidebars. You're going to need the train stations. You're going to need the engine cars. You're going to need the people to make the seats. You're going to need every freaking thing, like, for this economic system. And back in those days, you know, Goldman Sachs was hating on it. But now the financial institutions, now that they realize they can't stop the train, now what you're going to see is them they're going to start trying to build their own railroads. And that's what you mean about the patents pending, because now they're building their own parallel railroads. But the beauty of it is the train is already moving. You know, it's already moving. No matter what you build, you're behind the ball, the 8-ball.
Absolutely, and it's sustained the blow to the chin already behind that whole Mount Gox scandal, and I think they lost 700 million Bitcoins, and the feds found it, and they know exactly where they were, which validated the technology. You can't lose them, you know, and they got it. So, and then Bitcoin rebounded from 11. Well, it actually went down from 1100. It had a huge surge in November of 2013. From somewhere around $100, it shot up to over $1,150, somewhere up in that area. $1,200 shot down, then it kind of consolidated for a very long time, and then I don't know, what was it, December of last year, it just started a steep incline, and it has not receded at all. It had a little dip in July, but that was just, it ended up being a wick on the chart. But the thing is going through the roof, and it keeps getting good press, you know. And then every time the bank messes up, bam, Bitcoin gets validated, blockchain gets validated, and that's what. And every time somebody breaks into somebody's email, blockchain becomes more valuable. You know, these guys can't get through it, and that's why the technology is sustainable. So Asset Token has my thumbs up on it. Did we give it a grade, or we leave it at 2 thumbs up?
You know, yeah, let's give it 2 thumbs up, because we only got 2 thumbs, and
I got 4.
No, that's Rick James. Unless we're gonna get on some Rick James type stuff, then hey, man, you know, we only got 2 thumbs. So I think that's it, brother. I mean, I think that's it. It's a wrap for me. I'm gonna head on out and start doing some more research. What about you?
Yeah, no, that is exactly the same here. What I want is send us the comments, anything you want us to disclose to you, get a guest that you'd like to have on board that's industry specific, that can explain something that you don't understand. Any questions for us, put them in the comments section. We will check each and every one of them. Again, we disclosed in the beginning that we are just as new at this as most of you, and that's why we're doing it, so you can grow along with us and get the complete understanding of what your investments should be. Frank and I are gunslingers, so we've invested in this earlier, and we didn't know that much about it. But we're fringe. We're always on the edge, and we're going to stay on the edge, because that is where the fruit is, my friend. So as you said, I'm going to do a little research and keep going, and cannot wait for 20 days and a couple of hours where this thing hits the exchange. I'll be trading it.
No, absolutely. I think the next token we're going to end up talking about is one that I really, really like. You know, I'm torn between, I really think because of our real estate background, we need to take a close look at Proppy. I really, really think so.
Yeah.
And then Alta. So, guys, I think when we come back, in the meantime, while we're trying to get in contact with one of these guys, I think we're going to jump on Proppy and take a good look at that one. And I think that's one where our real estate skills really, really, really will be an advantage to us and to you. So we're going to take a look at Proppy next and tell you guys what we think about it. We'll go through the white sheet. I think that one's particularly extensive, which is great because I love doing research. And I guess we'll catch up with you guys later.
All right, man. I'll talk with you. Good talking, and we'll tackle Proppy next.